A very basic understanding of the value of annuities starts with what they are and what role they should play in our retirement. And many positive things they can do. They would help rebalance a portfolio by protecting funds from risk of loss. They provide safety and security against economic downturns. They provide long-term stability for a portion of our assets that will be available for us in the future. There's a saying in retirement planning that you need to protect a significant portion of your assets, and the expression is reflected by the need to set aside a portion of your nest egg that is yours to use and not lose. Annuities are primarily investments that are not meant to make you rich, they're meant to keep you rich. You give up some liquidity until a maturity date, just like bonds or CDs, but making the right choice can provide better accumulation than some of the other options. To begin with, annuities have many types, and they're very diverse. There are many different kinds of annuities. At fourth quarter, we take a different approach to annuities than most others do. Most annuities tend to focus on income potential. We start with a more discerning approach as to the long-term need for income. We find that most of the time, an investment annuity that's focused on accumulation will best serve our clients. We also review many existing annuities and find that a large number of them can be replaced by more productive ones, even before their maturity. When we ask about how they came about in the first place, we find there's two main reasons. The first is they're recommended by an existing advisor who tries to sell annuities to present clients. They rarely do an in-depth analysis as to the need or benefit, and they make a sales presentation on the product, not based on your need. The second type we see is where the client hears that they should look at annuities, and of course they go to their advisors and the same thing happens. It's analogous in either case to going to car dealerships. Our existing dealer wants us to move from the car we have to a new one and sells us on the benefits that a new car has. But a new car that fits us best may be a different one with a different dealership. So we end up with a vehicle that's not the best for us. We've been dealing with a Ford dealership, and with the best new car should be a Honda. We want our clients to end up with a Honda. As an example, that would be a better value and more beneficial. One of the first steps we take is to look at the sources of income through retirement, Social Security, pensions, and especially our required minimum distributions if we have significant funds in 401ks in lieu of pensions. We find quite often that the need for additional income when we start our RMDs is not needed beyond the years we'll be receiving those forced distributions. We have shortfalls in the years between retirement and our RMDs at 73 or 75, but that's short-lived, and it can be best filled with drawing down for a number of years instead of setting up long-term income for which we can gradually consume the principal. When we do our projections out into the future, our clients will use their funds in the most efficient way and end up with more of their principal for the later years, or they're going to leave more for their legacy. There are secondary benefits in this approach, and one of those is tax optimization. Right now, our federal tax levels are the lowest we have seen in our lifetimes. This allows us to wash tax at a lower level while minimizing our long-term tax obligations by drawing down directly from our funds in the foreseeable future with the lowest taxes. If we annuitize the same funds, we have a set amount that we will receive, but we lose flexibility to optimize our taxes because we may benefit from receiving less income in a year in the future and possibly moving more to Roths for additional long-term benefits. We're not against income annuities per se, and they can have a high value and a possible place in our retirement portfolios. We simply advocate a review of the long-term implications of income versus the investment annuities. We also educate on criteria that we should insist on and would be in our best interest. As an example, investment annuities are mainly of two different types themselves. There are fixed annuities and fixed index annuities. Fixed annuities will receive a predictable rate of return based on an interest rate that's stable until maturity. Our criteria is simple for those. The rate we receive should exceed alternatives such as CDs, treasuries, bonds, or other investments that are comparable interest rate accumulation. Fixed index annuities, on the other hand, have the potential to outperform interest rate-based investments because they're based on stock indexes, and you'll thus receive market-based returns, which are almost always better than interest-based investments over any time. But you are indexed to a direct stock-based fund while benefiting from the fact that your funds are not in an ownership position. Basically, it allows you to benefit from retained earnings when the market-based indexes go up, but you're protected from the losses so your funds do not decrease when the market has downturns. Your base stays high, so you benefit from the recovery after a downturn. Because there is more complexity in these than the straightforward interest rate options, we apply the following criteria to ensure that we end up with the best specific annuity product. We only want to look at investment annuities that have no risk of loss, no caps, buffers, spreads, anything to limit our upside. No fees or riders that can also reduce our principal. We look at illustrations that we can research. One thing they always show is the back cast returns over a period of time. We only look at what those projections illustrated in the lowest consecutive years out of at least 20. If we had the same formula or participation rates in effect in the past that we can have in a current option, we eliminate considering those returns that are lower than our needs and objectives. We also want flexibility to take out funds without penalty every year after the first one. So there's flexibility in case we need it. Besides those criteria, we look for potential bonuses that can be protected and provide guaranteed accumulation. We look for options that allow Roth conversions within the annuity, so any qualified funds can be moved to Roth with the same benefits, safety, and growth. We also look at the rating of the insurance company for obvious reasons. One thing we do often is provide no-cost review and assessment on existing annuities. If a client has an annuity, in many cases, there's ways to move a poorly positioned or poorly performing annuity into a better option. This has been a very brief and high-level discussion on annuities, but to summarize, we believe there should be more considerations given to annuities in general, and we need to consider the specific types and specific annuity options within a type that are in our best interest. It's impossible to provide a comprehensive education on such a complex topic in a short period of time, but we can provide hands-on advice when asked, and always with a focus as advocates for our clients without a focus on compensation. That is always in your best interest.